Election 2016. Vote Informed. Jefferson County Voter's Guide. Published by Disability Resource Association of Jefferson County Incorporated, a nonpartisan advocacy organization. On the following pages, you will find a list of the candidates we surveyed for the November 8, 2016 election. These candidates will be running for the office of Missouri State Representative or Jefferson County Council Member. Candidates were given the opportunity to provide written responses on issues that will impact all voters within the disabilities and senior citizens community, such as transportation, ADA compliance, affordable housing, Medicaid spend-down, independent living funding, emergency preparedness. Each candidate received multiple opportunities to participate in this process. This voter's guide is designed to enhance voter education. Disability Resource Association of Jefferson County Incorporated is a nonpartisan advocacy organization. Please remember to vote November 8, 2016. It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. J.K. Rowling. Candidates for election November 8, 2016. D is for Democrat, R, Republican, I, Independent, L, Libertarian. The Missouri State Representative candidates. In the 97th District, John McCarty did not respond. Tracy J. Scott, Libertarian, did not respond. In the 111th District, Del Veland, Democrat, did not respond. Shane Roden, Republican. John Schuessler, Independent. In the 112th District, Robert Butler, Democrat. Rob Vescovo, Republican, did not respond. In the 113th District, Karen Settlemore Berg, Democrat. Dan Shaw, Republican. In the 114th District, Becky Ruth, Republican, running unopposed, did not survey. In the 115th District, Barbara Stocker, Democrat, did not respond. Elaine Freeman Gannon, Republican. Charles D. Bigelow, Libertarian, did not respond. In the 118th District, Ben Harris, Democrat, is running unopposed, did not survey. Question 1. Affordable housing. Local organizations collaborated to develop over 130 units of affordable housing within the last 5 years. Despite these efforts, there are over 400 individuals on waiting lists for these units. If elected, would you support using the low-income housing tax credit to further increase the availability of affordable housing? 111th District, Dale Veland, Democrat, did not respond. Shane Roden, Republican. I am open to all available options which could better the lives of these individuals. John Schuessler, Independent. I don't support tax breaks as incentives to business ventures because it always leads to corruption. No matter how noble the goal, somebody always ends up profiteering off of the poor and the middle class. Incentive programs may develop nice-looking headline statistics, but an audit often turns up very different information on the ground. I worry very much about a housing venture's accountability for providing actual service to low-income individuals in exchange for preferential tax treatment. 112th District, Robert Butler, Democrat. Yes, the low-income housing tax credit is a valuable tool that has proven successful in addressing the need for affordable housing for those with disabilities. It is the incentive needed to attract private investment and developers to public-private partnerships. Rob Vescovo, Republican, did not respond. 113th District, Karen Settlemore Berg, Democrat. Yes. Dan Shaw, Republican. Yes, I believe that home ownership is a critical part of developing a caring and sustainable community. 115th District, Barbara Stocker, Democrat, did not respond. Elaine Freeman Gannon, Republican. Of course, I would support using the low-income housing tax credit. 400 on a waiting list is way too many. We must take care of our most vulnerable citizens. Charles D. Bigelow, Libertarian, did not respond. Question 2. Medicaid spend down. Currently, individuals with disabilities and seniors are forced to spend down their income to 85% of the federal poverty level in order to be eligible for Medicaid. This typically only impacts those who have worked enough quarters to receive Social Security disability, thus forcing those who paid into the system to live in substantial poverty. What is your position on this? 111th District. Dale Veland, Democrat, did not respond. Shane Roden, Republican. We have worked on increasing the spend down so people can keep more of their money. I am willing to work for better options to allow our seniors and individuals with disabilities to sustain a respectful life. John Schuessler, Independent. The poverty level requirement for Medicaid is a typical example of one-size-fits-all bureaucracy. It's sad that intentionally living at 85% of poverty level could be seen as the only option for some people, especially in light of the quickly rising cost of health care. I believe that we should develop better local health care options apart from the federal government's misguided rulemaking. 112th District. Robert Butler, Democrat. I understand the purpose of the spend down, but it's crazy to me that we force these people to maintain a level of poverty, even those that are on supplemental security income to live in poverty. If they are ever fortunate enough in their lives to be able to earn some additional money, it would be nice if we would allow them to keep it up to a level for a rainy day. Some reasonable amount, say $10,000, so if the car breaks down or there's an illness, they have some resources. Rob Vescovo, Republican, did not respond. 113th District. Karen Settlemore Berg, Democrat. I don't believe anyone who has worked and becomes disabled should be forced to live in poverty in order to have health insurance. Dan Shaw, Republican. I disagree with the way the current system requires a complete spend down. 115th District. Barbara Stocker, Democrat, did not respond. Elaine Freeman Gannon, Republican. I supported Republican Kevin Engler's HB 1565, which Governor Nixon signed in law in July 2016. This bill will increase the asset limit by $1,000 per year beginning in fiscal year 2018 and will continue to increase to a maximum of $5,000 by 2022. This bill was long past due. Charles Bigelow, Libertarian, did not respond. Question 3. Independent Living Funding. The Centers for Independent Living received approximately $220,000 each in 1999. Today, centers are funded at approximately $221,400. This is less than one-half the national average for independent living center funding. If elected, would you support increasing these funds, freezing them, and why? 111th District. Dale Veland, Democrat, did not respond. Shane Roden, Republican. As with any budget, it is dependent of state income. There are many priorities that each need addressing. With many others involved in the budget process, I could support the current funding or more if the budget allows. John Schuessler, Independent. Money does not always equal service. A great deal of money can be frittered away in paperwork, for instance. I'd like to know first just how much funding gets eaten away by administrative overhead and how much actually goes toward helping people. If Missouri's Centers for Independent Living are run well, then increasing their funding could do a lot of good. If they are run poorly, however, then no amount of money will help. Beyond that, however, I also would like more first-hand knowledge of the center's operation as it relates to federal oversight. If these places are handcuffed by federal bureaucracy, I would likely support replacing them instead with a state version that is more locally accountable to its clients. 112th District. Robert Butler, Democrat. I would support increasing the Independent Living Center funding at a level that would reflect 17 years of previous neglect in funding. Rob Vescovo, Republican. Did not respond. 113th District. Karen Settlemore Berg, Democrat. If funds are available, I would support the increase. Dan Shaw, Republican. I will work to support increasing these funds, and I will also explore alternative funding as well. 115th District. Barbara Stocker, Democrat, did not respond. Elaine Freeman Gannon, Republican. I would support these funds, increasing them. It only makes sense. Seniors deserve to live a life of dignity, not a life of barely enough to get by, or not enough to get by. Seniors are an integral part of our community and need to be treated as such. Charles D. Bigelow, Libertarian, did not respond. Jefferson County Council candidates. District 2, Roger Hendricks, Democrat. Renee Reuter, Republican. District 4, Jeff Riorda, Democrat. Charles Grotecki, Republican. District 6, Richard Henry, Democrat. Daniel Dan Stallman, Republican. Question 1, Transportation. Currently, the county provides no funding for transportation, either public or paratransportation. If elected, would you support or oppose developing a county funding line item to support these services? District 2, Roger Hendricks, Democrat. I would support it. Renee Reuter, Republican. I would support putting a tax proposal for transportation funding on the ballot across the county, and I would support the tax proposal. A specific tax to fund these types of services, in my opinion, is the best way to fully fund public transportation in Jefferson County. District 4, Jeff Riorda, Democrat. Vigorously support. Charles Grotecki, Republican. The council has looked at this in the past and reviewed the possibility of funding with revenue from the municipal court. This issue may need to be revisited by the council. District 6, Richard Henry, Democrat. I would like to see the county be more involved in transportation. We should look at all available sources, and I will insist that any transportation system includes the DeSoto, Hillsborough areas. Daniel Dan Stallman, Republican. I support helping by county, health department, or grants. Question 2, ADA compliance. The Jefferson County Courthouse and several other facilities fail to meet ADA accessibility standards. If elected, would you support correcting these issues, and if so, how would it be paid for? District 2, Roger Hendricks, Democrat. Yes, all citizens should be able to access public facilities. Not having yet served in public office, I'm not sure of the means available. But if elected, I will pursue a solution. Renee Reuter, Republican. I would support making changes to county facilities as the budget allows if there is a list of needs. The council and the county executive have just begun discussing options related to building a new courthouse. If re-elected, I will do all I can to make sure any plans for a new courthouse will include consideration of ADA standards and any other requests made by the Disability Resource Association or its members. District 4, Jeff Riorda, Democrat. Support, perhaps by an additional file fee or court cost assessment. Charles Grotecki, Republican. This has been an ongoing issue and may be best addressed by the building of a new courthouse. Funding this project will be a major issue, and a bond issue or other financial methods will need to be looked at before any solid steps may be taken. District 6, Richard Henry, Democrat. I very much support correcting these issues. I would hope we could find grant money and federal funds to help pay for them. Daniel Dan Stallman, Republican. Yes, I support accessibility. Question 3, affordable housing. Local organizations collaborated to develop over 130 units of affordable housing within the last 5 years. Despite these efforts, there are over 400 individuals on waiting lists for these units. If elected, would you support using the low-income housing tax credit to further increase the availability of affordable housing? District 2, Roger Hendricks, Democrat. Yes. Renee Reuter, Republican. Yes. District 4, Jeff Rorta, Democrat. I had a long history in the legislature of supporting LHTC, which would continue on the county council. Charles Grodicke, Republican. This is, I believe, a state or federal issue and not one that I think our county government should engage in. District 6, Richard Henry, Democrat. Congratulations to the organizations who have collaborated to develop the units. If elected, I would support using the low-income housing tax credit. Daniel Dan Stallman, Republican. Yes. Question 4, emergency preparedness. During multiple recent flooding disasters, direct assistance, long-term recovery efforts have taken 3 to 6 months to assist county residents severely impacted by these events. If elected, would you give priority to making these services timely, effective, and what would you change? District 2, Roger Hendricks, Democrat. The effects of the flooding is one of the reasons I decided to seek office. It will be a high priority for me to find ways to minimize the effects of flooding on our citizens. Renee Reuter, Republican. I participated in both MARC, Multi-Agency Resource Center, events following the recent winter flood, and noticed that one unmet need at the event was the lack of wheelchairs for flood victims with limited mobility. This is really the only change I would recommend for the MARC procedure. Countless organizations came to our area to assist with flood victims, and their volunteerism was heroic. Since the flood, I have been working with the Emergency Management Services Director to strengthen coordination with various charity organizations through a group named COAD. Improved coordination of nonprofit services could benefit the county in future disasters. Finally, I visited the flood disaster area numerous times last winter, meeting with flood victims, learning what their immediate needs were, and distributing packets I prepared specifically where and who these people could turn to for help. In addition, I held town hall meetings for flood-impacted homeowners and businesses to assist in identifying and meeting those other items that these people require to get back on their feet. I believe that cleanup after a disaster like this requires that neighbors should help neighbors. Consequently, I personally spent a number of weekends helping to clean up several flood-ravaged properties. On a local level, our municipal and county service personnel did a great job. Unfortunately, it took several days for the governor to ask the president to declare the flood area a national disaster, which was necessary to release significant federal assistance to the residents. As a council member, I can amplify the voices of our residents and business owners, but I cannot make changes to state or federal law. FEMA and SEMA rules and regulations are difficult to navigate and cumbersome for those who are intended to be served by the programs. I would recommend to state and national leaders that steps should be taken to simplify the process and to add grant support for local business owners, especially for landlords of residential properties who provide a much-needed service to low-income families and who received little to no help in recovery. I have already had conversations with our state and national representatives about these opportunities to improve the program. District 4, Jeff Rorta, Democrat. The county should fund an ombudsman position to assist the disabled in accessing all county programs, including disaster relief. Charles Grodecki, Republican. Since the recent flooding, the Director of Emergency Services should be working on plans to make the process more timely and effective. I will work with the Director to ensure that plans are in place to address the needs of the county in the event of further disasters of this nature. District 6, Richard Henry, Democrat. Each emergency disaster is unique and requires different types of assistance. Every effort possible should be made to provide information in a timely manner. Daniel Dan Stallman, Republican. Yes, county and state should help. Thank you to all candidates for your dedication to Jefferson County, the great state of Missouri, and our country.